Good morning, everyone. Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes the weight of challenges, disappointments, or losses can drain us of something deeply precious, our joy. Joy is more than just happiness. It is a strength, a source of energy, and a light that keeps us moving forward, even in dark times. Yet too often we let stress, negativity, or fear steal that joy away. Today I want to remind you that your joy is worth fighting for. It is not gone forever. It can be restored, renewed, and rebuilt if you make the choice to reclaim it. Joy is often misunderstood as a fleeting feeling of pleasure or excitement, much like happiness. But joy goes deeper. It is not tied to circumstances or temporary achievements. Happiness can fade when situations change, but joy is an inner strength that remains steady even when storms arise. It is a source of calm and peace that allows us to stand tall when life seems to knock us down. Unlike happiness, which depends on what happens to us, joy is something that flows from within and becomes a guiding force in how we approach life. When we think of joy as strength, we begin to understand why it is essential in difficult times. Joy gives us the courage to keep moving forward when everything around us suggests giving up. It becomes the energy that fuels perseverance and resilience. A person who carries joy in their heart can walk through disappointment, setbacks, and even pain without being completely crushed. Joy whispers to us that better days are ahead and reminds us that our worth is not determined by a single failure or hardship. Joy is also like a shield that protects us from negativity. When challenges arise, it is easy to let fear, anger, or hopelessness take over. But with joy as our foundation, we develop a mindset that is more hopeful and optimistic. This doesn't mean we ignore reality or pretend everything is perfect. It means we face life with a spirit that refuses to be defeated. Joy empowers us to rise above temporary struggles and see the bigger picture, giving us the strength to endure with patience and faith. Moreover, joy is a renewable source of energy. It is not something we use up and lose forever. Rather, it replenishes us as we nurture it. When our hearts are joyful, we feel more alive, more creative, and more willing to take on challenges. It becomes the inner spark that motivates us to dream bigger, love deeper, and live with passion. In many ways, joy sustains not just our emotions, but our entire being. It feeds our mental, emotional, and even physical health, keeping us grounded and energized for the journey ahead. One of the most powerful ways to restore joy is by shifting our perspective. Often we fall into the trap of magnifying what is missing or broken, while overlooking the blessings that remain. This mindset drains joy and makes even small problems feel unbearable. By deliberately choosing to focus on what is still working in our lives, we begin to see that joy has never truly left us. It has only been hidden behind layers of worry, fear, or disappointment. Perspective is like a lens. When we adjust it, everything we see changes. Gratitude is the key that unlocks this new way of seeing. When we make it a practice to count our blessings, no matter how small, we discover countless reasons to be thankful. A simple sunrise, the sound of laughter, or even the ability to take another breath can become reminders of life's beauty. Gratitude does not erase challenges, but it places them in context, reminding us that our struggles do not define our entire story. The more we focus on what we have, rather than what we lack, the more space joy has to grow. This shift in perspective also trains our minds to find opportunities in setbacks. Instead of viewing difficulties as the end of the road, we can see them as lessons, stepping stones, or chances to grow stronger. A grateful heart is more resilient because it refuses to dwell on negativity. It learns to search for light, even in darkness, and to recognize that every season of life carries both struggles and blessing. By changing how we interpret our circumstances, we invite joy back into places that once felt empty. Furthermore, focusing on what is still working gives us hope for what lies ahead. When we acknowledge progress, no matter how small, we gain confidence that more good things are possible. Gratitude shifts our attention away from despair and redirects it toward possibilities. This outlook is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It is about refusing to let hardships blind us to the gifts that remain. In doing so, our joy is not only restored but also strengthened, because it is rooted in a deeper awareness of life's richness. One of the main reasons people lose their joy is because they carry burdens that were never meant to be carried alone, or sometimes not meant to be carried at all. Stress from trying to control every outcome, bitterness from past hurts, and constant comparisons with others can weigh heavily on the heart. These invisible loads slowly drain our energy, cloud our vision, and rob us of the simple pleasures of life. When our minds are cluttered with unnecessary burdens, there is little room left for joy to flourish. Releasing them is not weakness. It is a conscious act of strength that opens the door to inner freedom. Stress is one of the most common thieves of joy. When we allow daily worries to dominate our thoughts, we begin to feel trapped and overwhelmed. Much of this stress comes from holding on to things outside our control, worrying about the future, replaying the past, or trying to manage what was never ours to manage. Letting go of this burden requires trust, patience, and a willingness to accept that we cannot control everything. Once we release this pressure, we discover a lighter spirit and more space for joy to re-enter our lives. Bitterness is another heavy chain that shackles joy. Holding on to anger or resentment toward people or situations only poisons the heart. It builds walls that keep us from experiencing peace and freedom. Choosing forgiveness, whether toward others or ourselves, is one of the most liberating steps we can take. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or excusing what was wrong. It means refusing to let past wounds continue to steal our present joy. By loosening the grip of bitterness, we create room for healing, lightness, and a renewed sense of joy. Comparison, too, quietly robs us of joy by making us feel inadequate. When we constantly measure our lives against the achievements, appearances, or possessions of others, we overlook our own blessings and progress. The truth is, everyone's journey is unique, and comparison blinds us to the beauty of our own story. Learning to let go of comparison allows us to celebrate who we are and what we have without feeling pressure to compete. This acceptance not only restores joy, but also fosters a deeper sense of self-worth and inner peace. Human beings were never meant to walk through life alone. Our joy often thrives in the presence of others, especially those who encourage, support, and uplift us. Surrounding ourselves with people who radiate positivity can reignite our inner light and remind us of the good in the world. On the other hand, constantly engaging with negativity or criticism can drain our energy and darken our perspective. Choosing to reconnect with uplifting people is not just about companionship, it is about building a circle that nourishes our spirit and strengthens our joy. Supportive relationships act like mirrors, reflecting back the best parts of who we are. When we feel discouraged, a kind word from a friend can give us hope. When we doubt ourselves, a mentor's guidance can help us see our potential. These interactions remind us that we are not alone in our struggles and that others believe in us, even when we struggle to believe in ourselves. This sense of belonging and affirmation becomes a powerful foundation for joy to grow. Positive influences also challenge us to rise higher without tearing us down. They celebrate our victories, no matter how small, and they offer perspective when life feels overwhelming. Being around such people helps us shift our mindset from self-pity to gratitude, from doubt to confidence. They remind us that joy is not just something we experience alone, but something we share in laughter, encouragement, and mutual support. Uplifting people become catalysts for joy, teaching us by their example how to live with hope and optimism. Reconnecting with uplifting people also means making intentional choices about the company we keep. Sometimes this requires distancing ourselves from toxic influences that drain us emotionally and replacing them with relationships that bring life and positivity. This doesn't mean cutting ties recklessly, but learning to prioritize our mental and emotional well-being. By choosing environments filled with encouragement, kindness, and love, we give ourselves the opportunity to restore joy more deeply and consistently. Engaging in meaningful activities is one of the most powerful ways to restore joy because it reconnects us with purpose. When we do things that align with our passions, values, or talents, we feel a deep sense of fulfillment that goes beyond temporary pleasure. It could be as simple as painting, gardening, writing, or playing music. Activities that allow us to express ourselves freely and authentically. These moments remind us that life is not just about responsibilities and survival. It is also about experiencing beauty, growth, and creativity that refresh the soul. Meaningful activities also have the ability to pull us out of cycles of worry or negativity. When we immerse ourselves in something we love, our focus shifts away from stress and toward the present moment. This state of flow not only helps silence anxious thoughts, but also brings a sense of peace and satisfaction. By dedicating time to hobbies or passions, we invest in our own well-being, giving our hearts a chance to breathe again. This renewed energy becomes fuel for joy to rise within us. Another powerful way to restore joy is through serving others. Acts of kindness, whether big or small, create a sense of connection and purpose that goes beyond personal gain. When we give our time, energy, or resources to help someone in need, we experience a joy that is rooted in compassion and love. Serving others allows us to step outside of our own struggles and see the bigger picture, often reminding us of how much we still have to offer. In giving, we also receive a renewed sense of gratitude, humility, and deep fulfillment. excellency. Let us delay and give it to the 800. I say little. Pursuing meaningful activities also helps us grow and discover new sides of ourselves. Every time we take up something creative or purposeful, we challenge our limits and find joy in progress. It doesn't have to be perfect or professional. What matters is the sense of satisfaction and energy it brings. Whether through learning a new skill, volunteering in the community, or revisiting an old passion, meaningful engagement nourishes the heart and strengthens the spirit. In these moments, joy is not just restored, it multiplies. Because it comes from doing what truly matters. Faith, hope, and values serve as anchors in times when joy feels distant. Life's challenges can shake our emotions, but when we are rooted in something deeper than circumstances, we find stability. Faith reminds us that there is a greater purpose beyond what we see, while hope assures us that tomorrow holds possibilities worth waiting for. Our personal values guide us to live with integrity and meaning, reminding us of who we are even when the world feels uncertain. Together, these elements provide the foundation where joy can be restored and protected. For many, faith is a powerful source of inner renewal. It connects us to something larger than ourselves, whether that is God, a higher power, or a spiritual belief that brings peace. In moments of prayer, meditation, or reflection, we find comfort, strength, and a sense of guidance. This spiritual connection offers reassurance that we are not alone in our struggles. Joy flows naturally from this assurance because it shifts our focus from fear and despair to trust and possibility. Hope, too, plays a vital role in restoring joy. Even in the darkest times, the belief that things can improve gives us the courage to keep going. Hope is not blind optimism. It is the quiet strength that whispers, "This is not the end." It fuels our perseverance and helps us endure difficulties with resilience. When we hold on to hope, joy finds room to grow because we no longer see life as a closed door, but as a journey filled with opportunities for healing, growth, and change. Living according to our values also keeps our joy alive. When we act in alignment with honesty, kindness, compassion, and integrity, we experience a sense of inner peace. These values remind us that our worth is not based on external success, but on the way we choose to live and love. Staying true to our moral compass creates harmony within ourselves, which naturally nurtures joy. It reassures us that even when life feels chaotic, we can stand firm on principles that bring meaning and fulfillment. Joy is not something that simply arrives by chance. It is a choice we make every single day. While emotions may shift with circumstances, joy is a decision to rise above temporary feelings and focus on what brings life and peace. Choosing joy means waking up each morning with an intentional mindset to look for good, to create positivity, and to embrace hope even in small ways. It requires practice because life will always present reasons to be discouraged. Yet joy thrives when we choose it over negativity. You are already there. You already dream. You dream again. You already dream. Celebrating small victories is one of the most practical ways to choose joy. Too often people wait for big achievements or milestones before allowing themselves to feel happy. But life is full of smaller moments that deserve recognition. A completed task, a kind gesture, or a quiet moment of peace. When we learn to celebrate these little wins, joy becomes more accessible and constant. This habit not only uplifts our mood but also trains us to see progress rather than focusing on setbacks. Finding beauty in ordinary moments is another powerful practice for cultivating joy. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the laughter of a child, the taste of your favorite meal. These simple experiences hold the power to restore gratitude and happiness. Life's busyness can blind us to these treasures, but choosing joy means slowing down enough to notice them. When we appreciate ordinary blessings, they transform into extraordinary sources of comfort and fulfillment. Choosing joy daily also builds resilience. By making joy a practice, we strengthen our ability to withstand life's inevitable challenges. Even on difficult days when circumstances are far from perfect, the habit of choosing joy helps us remain hopeful and steady. This discipline does not deny pain or struggle, but instead balances it with perspective, reminding us that joy can coexist with hardship. Over time, this intentional choice becomes second nature, allowing joy to consistently guide and energize our lives. So, as we reflect on the importance of joy, let us remember that it is not something far away or unreachable. It is already within us, waiting to be rekindled. Life may test us, disappoint us, and even break us at times. But joy is the strength that carries us through. By shifting our perspective, letting go of unnecessary burdens, reconnecting with uplifting people, engaging in meaningful activities, and holding firmly to our faith and values, we can choose joy each day and allow it to transform our lives. Let this be a reminder that no matter what you face, your joy can be restored. And once it is, it will shine not only for you, but also for those around you.